Hello Nigerians, welcome to Headline Reviews. I am Adewale Olashopo and we're happy to be back here with you this morning as we go through some select newspapers to give you the headlines making the day. I remain Adewale Olashopo and I'm not doing this alone. I'm joined today on this program with my colleagues. How are you, Chinatu? Good morning.
It's so good to be here. It's always interesting. Hello, Godwin.
Hi, Adewale and Chinatu. Good morning. As usual, it's a pleasure being on air.
Yeah, you look well rested.
I was going to say, you two look refreshed.
As always, you always say we look refreshed. And from your end too, you're not doing bad.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. So now we move on to the news from Punch newspaper, taken from Punch newspaper this morning. Nnamdi Kanu seeks transfer to Kuje prison from DSS custody. The detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has distanced himself from the violence in the southeastern part of the country and urged the Federal High Court to send him to Kuje prison. He alleged that the Department of State Services had no medical facility to treat him, adding that there was a conspiracy for him to die in the DSS custody. But however, the judge, Binta Nyako, presiding judge, said she would keep Nnamdi Kanu where she deemed fit as Kuje was out of it. She added that it is not uncommon for suspects to escape from Kuje prison, as recent history has shown. I think in 2022 we had a jailbreak from Kuje prison, and I think the judge's concern is worthy to have made that decision that he should remain at the DSS custody. But looking at the terrorism charges leveled against him himself, this court proceeding has been going on for a number of years, and he has had some of his cases struck out by this same judge and also by the Court of Appeal. But now we're having a restatement of order by the federal, by the apex court. So he still has a lot of battle to fight at the appeal court and also at the high court as well. But the conversation right now today is about his state of health.
And that should be a thing of concern. I mean, you want to prosecute somebody. Why is the person's health not a priority? And he's even given options, saying he likes to be transferred to Kuje prison. I don't think it is his place to decide how the security of the correctional facility is, if you ask me. If you think that people can escape from your prison, from your correctional facility, it means you need to work out modalities to ensure that people are kept there and, you know, pass their time there properly. It's not my place to come and fix the place, because I've been, you know, caught or I'm taken to the prison, I should now start working about security. No, it's the work of the government, not my
I think it's an unending conversation about the state of our correctional facility. Just like you mentioned, we have correctional facility where prison inmates can break out and go and commit further crime in the community. So the judge was worried about it, don't you think so?
And well, for me, Wale, I should think at this point in time that what the judge has done is a right step in the right direction. But again, looking at going by the law, is DSS custody supposed to be a confinement zone? Is it like a correctional facility? Do they have enough structures to be able to keep inmates? If that's correct, then I think all the inmates in Nigeria should be transferred to DSS custody. I'm just saying, you know, they should not be transferred and moved.
That's very
because if you're with DSS and there's this total security and guarantee that there won't be any form of correctional facility break, then we should move them. But then we should, like Chinatu has raised, we should also look at his health at this point in time. He's not saying he wants to leave. He's just telling you, let justice be served. But then as you're serving justice, put me in a place. I think the Nigerian judge should look at it from also other perspective.
Yeah, he mentioned that he wants to do a surgery for his ailment, and the DSS authorities have said that they've provided every medical needs that he has asked for. So we don't know who is telling what.
Is exactly why we having this conversation now.
It's a charge that it's a national charges that they have against him, terrorism case. It's very, very big, and we cannot just put it out there for him to be in a position where he can always leave. But I think it's a conversation that we'll continue to have, and for the courts to make the right decision at the right time, and let justice and the Constitution prevail.
And moving on from Punch now, we go to the Nations, where the House of Representatives have passed a 2.8 trillion naira budget, which the President presented to the National Assembly yesterday. Out of the total amount approved by the House, 140 billion naira is for personnel costs, and over 373 billion is for overhead costs, while the balance of 768.328 billion is for capital projects. The budget passage followed the report submitted to the House by the chairman of 3 House committees on Federal Capital Territory, Mukhtar Aliyu, following a budget defense by the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. Now, matters about budgets is usually one that's not just capital intensive, but something that we all need to talk about, right? We have the budget now. It's not enough to say we have a budget. Will due diligence be followed? Is there going to be a process of accountability, of transparency? How do we follow through to ensure that things allocated for projects are carried out? These are the things, because I mean, we have budgets every year, but what happens to these budgets? Do we see the results at the end of the day? And that is why I think when the chairman Aliyu Betara said, asked the minister to prioritize transparency, accountability, and adherence to budgetary guidelines, I think he made very, very much sense, because if you look at the way the country is now, if we are not asking the questions we need to ask, then it means we are moving on a very slippery path. And, you know, things like the personnel costs, where we have the wages, the salaries, the welfare of the workers in the FCT, or the Federal Capital Territory, as it were, it means we need to prioritize these things. But then, who follows through? That is my worry. Who follows through to ensure that, okay, we say we are giving 30% to these people. Who follows through to ensure that that is done?
I think that's a very good question you've asked. The issue of accountability, who follows through on what has to be done. And looking at the budgetary allocation, we have the largest share, the lion's share of it going for capital projects in Abuja. And we've known Nyesom Wike, able FCT minister, to be someone who is always building bridges all around Port Harcourt, and I think he's capable to do that here in Abuja. So we're looking forward to how he's going to execute all those projects in FCT. So there are a lot of roads that still has to be completed. There are a lot of places that have been designated for certain things that have been taken over by people, by the community. And so we see a lot of demolition. When you hear Wiki coming to your community, you know that something has to happen straight. So we need people to be able to set the record straight. Exactly. What are we going to do with this budget? And also, just like you said, the personnel has to be paid. Some other things has to be done. But following up with accountability, evaluation and monitoring has to be included in our process of governance.
So it's not just another budget that we are talking about. It's something that we need to ensure that, yes, this budget is here, but then the right things are done. But
interestingly, nobody's talking about this other side of the conversation.
Which side is that?
That has to do with the fact that when it has to do with Wike and the budget passage, there was no padding. Nobody's talking about that side of the conversation. I was surprised that when it has to do with Wike, the budget was expressly passed. We can
always expect efficiency.
No, you should. That's one thing Wike has been able to uphold over the years. When it has to do with deliveries, you can't take that away from Wike. I think they gave him a name in Rivers State as I think construction governor or something.
Yeah, I think it's because every week or so, every month is always having this
one project
to commission and all that. And we have the president or different dignitaries come from different states to commission the projects with him. And so we're looking forward to what he's going to do.
And I'm going to say, when I grow up, I think I want to be like Wike.
Well, you should choose the path you want to.
All right, let's move on. We are going straight now to Business Day newspaper, where we're seeing police and the Kaduna State Governor pushes for state police. Oh, this is interesting. Well, Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani has emphasized the urgency for the establishment of state police, citing the increasing sophistication of bandits operating in the region. Sani expressed his concern over the inadequacies of local security forces to effectively combat these bandits who are armed with advanced weaponry. Well, Wale, I'm looking at these old issues from another dimension. Kaduna has been on the news for the wrong reasons of late. Although it has been on for the right reasons also, because we've seen Governor Sani doing a lot when it comes to road construction. On Saturday, he did more than how many roads he has done so far, kilometers awarding projects and contracts. But when it comes to security on the other hand, Kaduna has been on the rise in Kaduna. I think just last week we had about one kidnap in Kaduna, where about 60-something persons were allegedly kidnapped in Kaduna State. So I think if we begin to look at the state policing and take this conversation serious, I think now it's the right call at the right time. We should begin to look at how to now put state mechanisms together to ensure that we have a form of state policing that will be supervised by the federal government. If the state are saying, hey, federal government, give us access to security, which is under your exclusive legislative list, under the concurrent list, most of the state government have no access to adequate security, as it were. I don't want to even talk about the residual list, which has to do with the local government. But then looking at all of this list, I think Governor Sani and other state governors that are calling for state policing, if it can only be supervised so that it won't be abused.
Yeah,
I
think the conversation of state policing, well, I should start that is the chief executive officer of a state. The governor is the chief executive officer of his state or her state when we get to have a female governor in Nigeria. So the issue of security rests heavily on his shoulder. And looking at how Kaduna State has been in the news, just like you said, for many years, even during the time of the previous administration, previous governor, while he was there, he dealt with a lot of issues in southern Kaduna and in northern Kaduna. Different states, different parts of the state are having different security issues. We have kidnapping, we have banditry, we have a lot of communities being razed to the ground by bandits, demanding people to pay them ransom or demanding people to come and pay homage to them.
It's worrisome.
It's very worrisome. So looking at all these issues that we've been raised, and the issue of state policing, it's been in the conversation at the National Assembly, at the presidency, at the executive, and also at the legislative arm of our government. But it's just keep going around the same circle. If we want to establish and implement a true federalism in Nigeria, then we must be able to have states. In other states establish their own policing system. In others, I don't want to say saying our clients, but in other in other countries that are practicing the same federalism that we were practicing, we have states, we have cities having their own policing system. The security structure and architecture in Nigeria cannot rest heavily only on the federal government to have police stations and different places. There are some communities that do not have police protection. So we need to be looking at the conversation of state policing. How can it be done differently? Of course, issues about abuse has been raised and about secession out of the country, about carrying arms. But we've seen things like the Southwest Amotekun security architecture that was put in place that has solved so many insecurity challenges in the southwestern part of Nigeria. So how can we be able to implement that? Of course, I know there's the GFT, there's the vigilante there in the state, but they are not allowed to bear arms by the constitution. So we have this bandit having AK-47, and you have these vigilantes going there with their stakes or their torchlights to go and secure the people. Chinato, I think this is very worrying.
It is. I was going to mention we have the vigilantes across communities. So if communities are able to manage this kind of security set, how can they not inculcate them into a proper policing system? You might just need some training, you know, some monitoring and evaluation here and there, and then they get to do the work. So we don't need to sit back, because the truth is when insecurity issues happen, it affects the people instantly before it gets to the top. So these are the people who feel the heat, who feel the pain. And if they're saying they need state policing, then it is a matter of urgency.
So invariably we're saying the Nigerian police right now is not policing, so we need more state
They are
policing.
policing. I mean, the
job.
first port of call.
The responsibility, the weight of the responsibility is too much on their shoulders.
We'll just keep our fingers crossed. But the federal government will be able to listen to Governor Sani at this point in time, and for his cry and also for his call for state policing across the state.
He is doing well, and we hope he continue to do so for the people of his state. Moving on to the Daily Trust. We have still in the northern part of Nigeria, Governor Zulum approves 1 billion naira for teachers training. The Borno State Governor, Professor Babangana Umaru Zulum, has approved 1 billion naira for the training of basic level teachers across the 27 local government areas of the state. Zulum announced the approval while inaugurating the newly appointed local government education secretaries in Maiduguri on Tuesday. According to Zulum, the new appointees will administer the affairs of primary education in their respective local government areas. The governor noted that over 1,000 teachers who have O-level certificate as their highest qualification will undergo additional training that would allow them to maintain minimum teaching qualifications. So I think we need to give kudos to Governor Zulum when it comes
Yeah,
to...
he deserves it.
He deserves it. When it comes to education in the state, he came into governance during the time when we have the height of Boko Haram in Borno State, and we understand how the whole state was ravaged. A lot of schools were closed down. So one of the things he actually did when he became governor during his first term was to build a lot of schools, rehabilitate schools, and be able to push people, give incentives for parents to be allowed to be able to allow their children to go back to school, provide feeding for them, and other amenities that will make it conducive for them to go back to school. But now we're talking about the quality of education they are getting. They can't have the access to education now, but what about the quality of education? That is where the teacher training is coming on board, so that the teachers can also find a venue to improve on their own skills and be able to impact the children with good knowledge.
But ordinarily, Wale, I think Governor Zulum should have been arrested if it doesn't lay emphasis on education. Of course, he's a professor. This is his permanent constituency. You understand? If we say talking about education in the entire, no, if it comes to has to do with education in the north. Zulum has been there. He has been tutored. He has been a professor in the north. He understands what the value of education. So if he's not giving back on what he has been a beneficiary of the system with, I think that should call for concern. So kudos to Governor Zulum
and I
at
think
this
we should
point
give
in
him
time.
credit for what he's done.
And that's why I said if he had not done it, we would have arrested him.
While he came in, he had like 2 million children out of school children.
Yeah.
Now it has been reduced to 800,000.
And it's still going to reduce by before
yeah.
Godwin, you know why you said he should be arrested? Because
maybe I'm not done it. We should have arrested him.
To say that. Are you saying that we've not seen leaders or even professors who do not prioritize education, but they are occupying positions of leadership in the same country?
If you check his history, he has always had passion for education. Zulum has had this passion.
I think God say that from a space of admiration.
He has had this passion for education from when he was growing up. He has had passion for education. If he had not done this, Wale, we should have.
And I think I think other states can take cue from that. We can also invest in our teachers. It's not only the students, you're providing facilities for them, you're providing books and whatnot for them, but you also have to invest in the people that are teaching them. Because you can't have a teacher teaching you rubbish, just like Fela was a teacher, don't teach me nonsense.
Most definitely. All right.
And then we move now to the Vanguard, where we have Zenith Bank, we are appointing a new CEO, and this is very interesting for me. First off, because I'm a woman, and then because
this is pride,
and because most especially because this is the first female CEO of Zenith Bank, Dr. Adora Umeoji. And this happened since the inception of the bank. She's the first female CEO of the bank. And she's been with Zenith Bank for over 26 years now. And so this just means her career has come to a full cycle. We can say that. I love this kind of things because when we have the conversations about gender equality, women taking up leadership positions, these are the things we want to see. It's not just enough for women to just be at the background pushing and saying, oh, yes, we need to do this. But we see them taking up leadership positions. All I can say is I just want to hope that she delivers, because I've seen some speculations here and there about the bank in question. You know, having people saying they've been having issues with their monies, they've been having some deductions here and there. I don't know how that true is, but I've been reading that. And I hope that with her experience, with her level of exposure, she can come in and, you know, straighten things up.
At first, Wale, when I saw her name, when I saw Umeoji, I thought it was Oji, and I was excited because I was coming straight to the studio to say, Chinatu, finally, your auntie has become the MD of Zenith Bank. I was so elated, I was excited.
Well, she's my auntie by extension.
And I saw Umeoji. Well, I think that's what you're citing, but it's
I think it's interesting that we're still in the Women's Month, and we're having this come up, although our appointment is still pending approval from the Central Bank of Nigeria. But given her track record and what she's done so far, she has an excellent credential already. She's been at Zenith Bank for more than 20 years, and she's performed at different roles, performed excellently at Zenith Bank. So we can only congratulate her, and just like Chinatu said, wish more women position of power, not only wish, strive to get women into the position of power. I mean, I don't want to extend the conversation, but if we look at what President Tinubu said is going to give percentage of women in his opportunity in his administration, and looking at what we've been able to get, even his predecessor, Muhammadu Buhari, he promised something and we got something else. But I think step in the right
It's a
direction,
step in the
that we're
direction.
having women in position of power.
Chinatu, don't look at me that way. Of course, I support women in governance. Don't look at me that way. I think at this point in time, we should just say to Zenith Bank and also to a management team, I think they are in for a big deal right now, because when it has to do with Adora, she's a very principled person. I think I've had the opportunity of meeting her twice in Lagos, and I know her for that she's a no-nonsense person. She's principled, highly principled. So I think Zenith Bank is in for a new height. So I want to say congratulations again to Zenith Bank.
Yeah, with her credentials, you couldn't expect anything but a principled human being. And that's where we draw the curtains on the conversation today. It's been exciting. We've been having conversation about everything going on our national dailies. And when we come your way tomorrow, we have more stories to go through on all our national dailies in the country. But thank you so much for being on the program today, Chinatu.
Always exciting.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, Godwin.
You really look up to. Thank you so much, Wale.
And that's where we draw the curtain. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. You can follow us on all our social media platforms to join the conversation. Bye for now.